Today's April 3rd, 2019, and this is episode 92 of PlaneSavers. Minus 27 degrees, folks. It is minus 27 degrees, April 3rd, here in Yellowknife. Holy smokes, it's cold. That is minus 15 degrees Fahrenheit. Yes, we're back into the minuses in the 15 degree Fahrenheit. Why is it so cold? Why is it so cold? Like, this is crazy. But on the great side, or the good side, is we only have a couple more days here in Yellowknife. Today is, what is today? Tuesday, Wednesday? Yeah, today's Wednesday. We only have one more day after today, one more full day in Yellowknife. We got a Nullinoor 737-200 enhancing the audio with their APU. I want to say thank you. Nullinoor's been helping out behind the scenes a little bit with the project. Yeah, so everything's going good. I want to get out of the cold. DC3 just came in from Hay River. I got to do a bunch of mail today. We're going to talk to Rod. We got some good news from Transport Canada. Yeah, but right now I want to throw you to a trailer for the D-Day Squadron. So check this out. Very good trailer featuring some DC3 footage from Oshkosh last year. So check this out. It's very cool. So I hope you guys like that D-Day Squadron little trailer. Very cool. On a side note, what also is very cool is we're getting some live video sent in from Sun and Fun. While I'm in the room here, I got some mail, my final mail opening before going to Montreal. That being said, I'm going to have to change the mailing address to figure out what mailing address we're going to use in Montreal for you guys to send stuff. Yeah, so it's getting there, folks. But yeah, Sun and Fun. So minus 27 degrees Celsius here in Yellowknife. But let's head out to Florida, where the D-Day Squadron guys are hanging out with some DC3. So let's go check that out. And when you're back, I will have the mail opened up and I'll give you a review of what I've received.
Hey Mikey, thanks for the opportunity to be on your show. Hello PlaneSavers fans. This is Mao with the D-Day Squadron. We are here at Sun and Fun with 6 airplanes that will go to Normandy. 2 are already here and the other will join us probably in the next few days. Right behind me we have Dead Soul Brother, the CAF airplane. We have an F-16 flying, so I'll try to be very short and I'll get back to you as soon as this F-16 is going by.
Okay folks, I'm going to leave the boxes to do that on film, but I opened up the envelopes, and right off the bat, our first one is from Staff Sergeant Michael Page from Afghanistan. This is an amazing letter. He says he works as an air transport journeyman, and his lineage goes back to the Candy Bomber. So he sent me this awesome Candy Bomber patch with DC3. Very cool. And I guess they have an inside joke where, because he's kind of like a loadmaster that doesn't fly, that he's the combat UPS. So they sent me this combat UPS patch, which was so cool. Geez, thank you, Michael, for your letter. And then anybody that's working overseas for the military, any military, is quite an inspiration. And I'm happy you get to work with some very, very cool aircraft in maybe a not so cool place, maybe a little hot, but yeah, at least it's warmer than here. Yeah, so I just want to say huge thank you to Michael for that. And then we have some news clippings. So Jim sent me some news clippings of the Avro Arrow and wrote a very nice letter. Thank you, Jim. That's very, very cool. We got a letter from Winnipeg showing the DC-3, the RF DC-3 going to Poland. Thank you very much. And that is from Maurice in Winnipeg. Yeah, thank you for there. We also got another patch, which is very, very, very cool. Right here. So this patch, this gentleman's father's squadron in World War II. This is Uncle Sam riding a lightning bolt over a four-leaf clover, which is quite awesome. Yeah, this is from Chino, California. Doug, I can barely read it out here, but this is very cool information about his father, and then the squadrons, and then the squadron that is still at the Nellis Air Force Base. Thank you so much for this. I love the patches. Very, very, very cool. Hi, Mikey. In 2010, we saved Placid Lassie, a derelict D-Day DC-3, and got her flying. We are flying her to Normandy with D-Day Squadron. Have a pint glass mug on us. Keep up the great work. Ben Smith and the Tunson Foundation. Very, very, very cool. I think we saw Placid Lassie on the beginning episode on that trailer. Like, geez, everything's connecting today. We got one left. So this is actually the super one that I want to show you guys. This one would melt your heart. This is sent to my father from Ireland. So this one, I got a letter. Dear Joe, my name is Avon. I'm 9 years old. I love watching PlaneSavers and Ice Pilots because I love the DC-3. I've never seen one in real life, but my dad said that will change this year. He told me it's your birthday on St. Patrick's Day, and I tried to find a card with the DC-3 on it, but there was none. So instead, I drew a picture of a Buffalo DC-3. I hope I can go visit you with my dad. I am sending you 20 euro of my pocket money for PlaneSavers. I hope you have a nice birthday. I never missed an episode of PlaneSavers or Ice Pilots, and I love watching it because I was always learning something new. Here's a picture of me in a Cessna at flight school. Happy birthday and happy St. Patrick's Day. Avon Moran. Thank you, Avon. That is absolutely amazing. Oh man, like I know, yeah, I'm speechless. I can't articulate the words. This 20 euro to a 9-year-old is like $1 million. Geez, imagine being 9 years old with $20 or 20 euro. Yeah, that's amazing. Super heartfelt. Thank you, Avon. Yeah, I'll can't wait for my father to get home. And I'll get him to send you a thank you. And I want to thank you for myself and everybody on PlaneSavers. Yeah, everybody who sent stuff today, thank you. All the patches, very, very cool. I'm going to have such a huge job to take everything, put everything together. There's some of the donation items. So people that sent items for bidding and all that stuff, I'm going to have to figure out a creative way to do that because there is so much stuff. Maybe make a PlaneSavers museum of some sort, but what's Stella doing here? Look who it is, folks!
Mikey! How about a kiss? I haven't seen you since your birthday or Christmas or something.
What? That wasn't planned. That's Ice Road. Ice Road Truckers, Alex Debogorski.
Good to see you. I think you're getting taller.
Oh, here, give me a hug. Okay, guys, so I was just telling Alec here about the D-Day DC-3 and what we're doing, and Alec was mentioning that your father...
My dad was a paratrooper of the 101st Polish Parachute Brigade under the British, and he jumped on Arnhem and Nijmegen. His lucky number was 13 because he said he jumped with 246 men, and he said they all got shot in the air except for about, he said 13 of them survived. So that was his claim to fame. Well, he stayed with the British military for 12 years. He ended up commanding a tank in Palestine. He started out, he couldn't talk English, and he was a sergeant commanding British troops back, 12 years later. But yeah, it was a pretty traumatic deal. I mean, I don't know if you want to hear any stories about Aston. So my brother and I, Greg, we always go to November 11th Armistice Day parade, and we march behind the color party as associate members. And I used to go. Dad used to make me 10 years old. I have to go march with him in Berwyn, in northern Alberta, and freeze my ass off. And then I'd sit in some old pickup truck in front of Legion while he went in there and refought the war with all the veterans. And I used to say, Dad, how many Germans did you kill? How many Germans did you kill? And he says, none. He said, no. He said, I lay down, put my head against the side of the foxhole, covered my head with a shovel. And as a matter of fact, German threw a hand grenade, bounced off the shovel, and blew my best friend's head off right beside me. And then one day, I think he might have had a couple of extra drinks. And I said, how many Germans did you kill? I asked him every November 11th. And he looked at me and he said, thousands and thousands. He said, I couldn't count them all. The hair just stood up on my neck. I thought, never asked him again after that.
That's quite the story. What was his name?
Stanislav Debogorski.
Stanley, and he was at the 100th one?
101st Polish Parachute Brigade, and that was quite the trip because the Bolsheviks, the communists, come to Poland, load them up the train, take everything you want, and ship them to the Gulag Archipelago before the war. So they were all in Siberia. So they're lucky. My grandmother, my aunt was born, and they were starving so bad. They were working all the time, of course, that her breasts were dry. There was nothing to feed the baby, so she just spit in the baby's mouth until the baby died. And the baby lived, that's all she had to feed the baby. And then somehow they made this trek across the tundra to see this big Russian general. They heard that there was a way out of there. And, he went out and they said, well, you guys are kulaki, you guys are farmers taking advantage, you got all this land and you're wealthy and you're taking advantage of all the peasants. And he said, well, not true. He said, when they went and they explained, Grandpa said, we went to Denmark and we worked and we made hard currency, and then we brought the money back to Poland and we bought the land. So we were basically peasants that pulled ourselves. And anyway, they gave the general a hard time, not realizing that one time there was a story of Grandpa went to the market on Saturday and he left with a goose and he came home with a horse, and somewhere along the way he traded up to a pig, and then he managed to trade his way up to this horse. He come home riding a horse. So anyway, between Dad and Grandpa, they talked to Russian general into letting them go, and then they ended up going through the Black Sea, I believe, and they ended up in Uganda and Tanganyika. There's a picture of Debogorskis and grass huts they built for them, but that was under the control of the British. So then the British took the men of fighting age. Dad went to Glasgow to train as a paratrooper, and Grandpa went to the Africa campaign. He fought the First World War in an armored train. In the Second World War, he was an adjutant for, I guess, one of the British generals in the Africa campaign. And then, of course, Dad, like I said, jumped on Arnhem. And then after, did one of the other things as part of the occupation of Germany. And there was all sorts of, there was a few stories. They don't tell you a lot of stories, these guys, but there was a few stories. They said that I was the first Debogorski that wasn't a saint, which was a problem till one day I was listening at the crack in the door, and Grandpa and Dad and the two brothers were playing. They'd play checkers or chess and have a few bottles of wine. And there's some story I barely overheard of something about Grandpa standing on a table in the bar with a knife cutting guys' ears off. So I thought maybe they exaggerated it. I was the first one that was the saint, so I'm not sure of it.
Oh my Lord. The $1 million laugh.
That's the truth. That's all I know. I didn't make that up. Believe it or not.
There
I don't have to make it up for a few more years of storytelling.
Oh my Lordy. Okay, thank you.
Good. We gotta go.
Nice awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you.
Oh, God bless. Well, folks, that was one amazing gift. Anytime Alex Debogorski comes here is quite interesting. One quick thing I want to mention. Back when Ice Pilots first started, like right now, everybody's on TV. There's a million TV shows. In fact, there's probably a lot of, if you're watching this, there's probably people that you personally know that have been on TV. So it's quite a common thing. But when I was a 215 apprentice, like the water bombers, my brother and I were in Alaska, in Kenai, Alaska, and I turned on the TV, and there's Alex Debogorski laughing. And of course, I've known Alex my entire life, being around Yellowknife. Him and my father are close trading partners, always swindling each other with deals. But yeah, so I was like, what the heck is Alex doing on TV? And so I got back here, I asked him, he's like, yeah, they're filming me going up and down the ice road. And we're like, oh, that's kind of strange. And then, yeah, and then one day, I got my chance to be on TV, and the only person that I could talk to and relate to or get advice from is Alex. So Alex actually helped me out quite a bit back in the day, because he had the experience of working on camera, and you know, being from Hay River, I never knew anything about TV. TV was magical. It was Fresh Prince and The Simpsons. That's all I knew. Yeah, so I owe a lot to Alex Debogorski for mentoring me during the early years of PlaneSavers. So he comes by the hangar at least once a month, and it's great to talk to him. And I didn't realize his dad jumped in Arnhem, which is crazy. Maybe we can get the PlaneSaver crew to do some research and get some more info on that, because that's very, very cool. And yeah, so I think that's where I'm going to end the episode today. I think we got a lot of stuff today. One more day. Tomorrow is my last full day in Yellowknife. In Yellowknife, folks. This is the last day in Yellowknife, unless I come back for whatever reason, but we'll see. So yeah, I have no clue how I'm going to make the episodes in Montreal about editing and all that stuff, or having a workstation and all that stuff. So there's going to be a lot of learning curves. I think I'm going to have to start making a couple episodes just on my phone, using like iMovie on my phone, but I'll figure that out. So there's going to be a lot of growing pains, so we're going to figure that out. And yeah, so yeah, I'm going to end the episode here. Super secret special TV guest, or special guest host there, I guess. So yeah, no. Okay, folks, so yeah, there's enough of that. That's a good episode for you guys, eh? Was that good? Anyway, have a good Wednesday, Wing Wednesday, and we'll see you tomorrow, the last day in Yellowknife. Bye.